Welcome back to another Post-Media Ottawa Senators panel. I'm Bruce Garrioch, pleased to be joined today by Wayne Scanlan of Sportsnet.ca and Nick St-Pierre, the French play-by-play voice of the Ottawa Senators on Unique 94.5 FM. And guys, as we speak today, the Senators are coming off a 3-0 loss to the New York Islanders, their first post-trade deadline game. And let's start with the trade deadline. For a guy who said he wasn't going to be busy, Pierre Dorion made a lot of moves. But, guys, he didn't make a lot of impactful moves. Wayne, let's start with you and your impressions.
Well, I didn't mind the Nick Paul move. I thought they made a decent offer to him, and
Yeah.
if they weren't going to get it done, the fact that they got I think you might have expected, I don't know about you, Bruce, that maybe they'd get a kind of a high draft pick for him. But to get a guy like Matthew Joseph, I was watching him against the Islanders. He looked like Nick Paul. He's wearing the same. He's wearing the same number. He's up and down the wing, and he had some opportunities. So, I thought they did pretty well there. I think the Hamonic pickup is interesting to say the least. It'd be interesting to see if he can kind of get back to a little bit of the player he was a few years ago. Whether or not they had to give up, they actually had to, take on that salary and give up a draft pick. I think that's something that we're going to talk about right now. But if he can play for them and help the defense, then I don't think that's a bad move. And then the other one is, maybe the biggest move was signing Anton Forsberg to
Right.
an extension, a 3-year contract, because there wasn't a trade, but that really solidifies almost a goaltending crisis that we had here in Ottawa. So, good to get that done.
We'll touch on a lot of those things individually, Nick, but let's start with the deadline. And as Wayne talked about the departure of Nick Paul, one of the things that we learned during the course of these negotiations is Senators' last offer to Nick Paul was a 3-year, $10.4 million deal. He wanted $3 million per year. One of the things we've learned about negotiations is that players like to say they want to stay somewhere until you don't pay them. That's just the reality. And and I think he was made a very fair offer. And I like Wayne think when they went into that negotiation, they were hoping to get a grade A prospect and a high pick. They got Matthew Joseph and a fourth round pick. They should probably feel good about that deal.
I love the arrival of Matthew Joseph. I don't want to start comparing the two, but what he showed us in his first game, it's like he will totally replace him and maybe more. I'd say Nick Paul 2.0. But yeah, it's a business, and I'm glad that we're over the trade deadline because we're going to stop talking about this being a factor in that locker room. And now I think we're going to pass to another reason. I don't know. But I hope that being behind us, we'll be able to move forward and see some individual start getting some strides because, time is of the essence for this season.
Yeah.
And this team cannot allow itself to have the problems that it had, no matter if they could control or not. But starting in September, the pressure is going to be so high on those guys. So might as well take that last portion of the calendar to make things happening. And as for Nick Paul, sorry to say, he was a great part of that organization. We saw him grow. But like you said, he bet on himself. And I hope that bet is going to procure him the money that he wants. But if I can make a parallel, I remember Ryan Dzingel, who took that bet and he put aside something like $10 million. And now we know what's happening. So I hope Paul is going to be able, in that passage with Tampa Bay, to be able to say that I'm worth more than this. And we give him the best of luck.
Well, and let's go there. There's a lot to touch on, so let's talk about goaltending because we never talk about goaltending on the show. But Nick, let's start with you. They signed Anton Forsberg. We know that they made a claim on Harry Satari before he ended up in Arizona, the Toronto goalie who was signed. The bottom line in all this is what I think that Nick, I believe that getting Anton Forsberg signed is a signal to Matt Murray that if he's in camp next year, he's not handed the number one job. Do you feel the same way as I do?
I was hearing our friend, I think at TSN, talking about the situation and saying that maybe Matt Murray had his best hockey when he had some sort of pressure having to actually prove himself and having actually someone that could actually take his spot anytime. So having that competition is going to be beneficial, I hope, as much for Matt Murray as for Anton Forsberg. But to be honest, Bruce, at this moment, I don't care who backs up Anton Forsberg. Anton Forsberg, we resolve a big problem. He's the most stable factor in front of that net. We had to sign him. We didn't wait at the deadline. We didn't wait too late this summer. We signed that. He's here. And I'm sure the guy, knowing where he's coming from, appreciating the contract and the confidence that we give him, he could be a very, very big factor for the success of this team in the years coming and starting in September.
You know, Wayne, I put my glasses on so I can actually see you two now. Just one of the things. So
You
one thing,
want to change
one
your
of the things,
mind on that now?
yeah, one of the things I haven't seen though from nobody has seen from Matt Murray is any consistency in net, and unless he gets back to that, as Nick says, Forsberg's the number one goalie at this point.
Well, and boy, they sure needed him for insurance. Like, at least now you know that if Matt Murray has another injury, or he has to retool and go back to the drawing board on his technical side of his game, or whatever it is that has sidelined him over the last couple of years, you've got a stable veteran goaltender who I think has a lot of upside because he hasn't had that much. He's 29 years of age, but he hasn't had that much opportunity. And of course, what an astute waiver wire pickup that was a year ago this week. When they got this guy, and he has provided nothing but stability. So good on him for earning a 3-year contract at the age of 29. But he's a godsend for Ottawa right now.
But at this
Well,
moment, may I ask the two of you guys, like, at this moment, do we all think that in September, starting at camp, Matt Murray's going to be part of the Senators?
I do. I
I'm
don't
not
base
ready to
that on
say
anything.
yes.
Yeah, I mean, unless they can trade him, I do think. I still think he's going to play this year. I know that people aren't. I don't know what you think, Wayne, but I think, yeah, at this point, because I don't think they'll be able to trade him, Wayne, and I don't see him being bought out, by the way. So
It's a pretty expensive buyout. They will have three guys on one-way contracts, right, with Philip Gustafson. So that's kind of an interesting thing to watch as well.
okay, so I think we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about the acquisition, as Wayne mentioned, of Travis Hamonic. And Wayne, um, mixed reviews of what Hamonic is going to bring. I will tell you, I spoke to Canucks assistant coach Brad Shaw after the trade, and he said that the last 10 games, Hamonic has been one of their best defensemen. That he feels in some way, shape, or form that Hamonic has had helped establish Brad Hunt as an NHL defenseman. Um, People you talk to describe him as a different guy. Jack Capuano obviously knows him well. I've heard so much bad about this guy. I thought it was interesting when Pierre Dorion said, at least give the guy a chance.
Well, that's it. And we've seen lots of reclamation projects in the NHL over the years, and there's just something about a player being in comfortable surroundings. I think that connection with Capuano is huge because he was a big part of that New York Islanders team when Jack Capuano was the head coach of the New York Islanders. So there's that comfort level with this guy, and his role is going to be interesting. What you said about Shawzy talking about him, he's got to be a bit of a mentor for the younger guys, right? Like, where does he slot in? Does he slot in next to Jake Sanderson, or is he a partner for Thomas Chabot? He's a right-hand shot defenseman. I don't know that he's going to be the top four guy that
Yeah.
Pierre Dorian has talked about getting, but I thought he was smart to come on and say, look, I don't know where he's going to slot in. That's up to the coaching staff. But We think he can help the team, and let's give him a chance to do so.
Nick.
Jack Capuano said though, like don't doubt his potential to play with Chabot in the sense that he was paired with Hughes in Vancouver, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So like there's a potential for him to actually have some chemistry with Chabot. So let's not put etiquette on him. See his potential. I love the human factor that he's bringing. I know there's some people are saying like, yeah, outside of he has a story, but I don't know if you guys saw the report a few years back about him losing his father and creating that foundation with the New York Islanders. The family aspect is very important, and honestly, saying also that he's a go-to guy, a warrior, a guy who thinks about the team and all that stuff. I love that aspect that he's bringing, and we need some veterans where the young leadership core will be able to turn and say, what can we do at this moment? I don't think that we have that presence. And that's where we see maybe Tkachuk and the other big guys like being a little lost with all the turmoil that happened. So I don't hate that acquisition. And a little bit like you're saying, Wayne and Bruce, I'm not sure that he's going to be that top four permanently, but I'm not ready to close the door. We'll see what happens, and let's start. Maybe we'll try him with Chabot, and if that happens, well, we'll see. Right on. Excellent. Let's give him a chance, and he'll have plenty of time to prove that.
Okay, guys, real quick here before we close out. I think the Ottawa Senators, and let's be quick about this, and it's probably a bigger discussion for another day, but I think the Ottawa Senators will take a run at Claude Giroux in the offseason. And I believe the Montreal Canadiens will. I believe the Montreal Canadiens will as well. Would that fit the bill of the top six forward they need? Nick, let's start with you. You know him well.
And I love him big time. So, yeah, that would be a great acquisition. Leadership, experience, all that he wants. And I wrote to him, actually. I said for his 1,000 game, I said, go win a Stanley Cup, and next winter, come and help us with the Senators. And
what recruiting has begun.
We'll see what happens. But at that level, Bruce and Wayne, Pierre Dorion put a lot of heat on himself, and when he said, "Don't judge us now, but judge us in September," I could have said, we're going to judge you, Pierre, honestly. And he has to be the most aggressive general manager. Whoever you choose to be that top six forward veteran, and we hope it's Giroux, a local guy, and I'm sure he's going to be very popular with everybody, but he needs to lay down the cash, and he needs to give him whatever he needs. And the Senators have to prove, and those guys have to win. So he has a lot of pressure to find that needle in the haystack. Let's go. Claude Giroux, big time.
Wayne, I'm not even sure you need to weigh in, but real quick.
I know. Nick, I'm sold. I'm absolutely sold. Hey, listen, guys. He's from here. His wife is from here. They would love to play here, and winning a Stanley Cup or even getting close means that he could maybe, join a team like Ottawa that's kind of in the process. And I think he'd be a great fit and definitely would be in that top six scenario for Ottawa.
Well, I can tell you guys that Claude Giroux has played in the Ottawa Sun Scramble about the last 5 or 6 years. He'd be our honorary captain of the tournament if he signs here. Listen, we appreciate your time. It wasn't the most exciting trade deadline, but it was interesting. And 19 games left in the season as we speak, and I'm sure we'll reconvene one more time for Post Media in Ottawa. I'm Bruce Garrioch, pleased to be joined today by former Citizen columnist and Sportsnet.ca writer Wayne Scanlan and Nick St-Pierre, the French play-by-play voice of the Ottawa Senators on Unique 94.5 FM. Keep working on Giroux. Have a good day.
Go to Giroux.